Hello everybody, welcome to the shop. Going to do a little tool review today. I was looking forward to doing this. I was excited when I learned about this new style wrench here. It's a Crescent RapidSlide wrench, and you can see that it differs from the traditional wrench with the worm gear drive. It just has a slide. And you can slide her open and slide her closed. And I thought it was pretty neat. I looked on YouTube for some reviews to see what other people thought about it, and believe it or not, I couldn't find anything out there. There were other whiz-bang adjustable wrenches that, or ratcheting adjustable wrenches or any other, stupid things like that. But you know what? If I want a ratcheting wrench, I'm going to get a ratcheting wrench. I don't need my adjustable wrench to ratchet. An adjustable wrench is something that you're using it because you don't feel like having a whole handful of wrenches. You just use one, or something to keep in your back pocket when you're working on a machine or whatever. Anyway, so I don't really like that two tools in one thing, but I was intrigued by this because we all know adjustable wrenches are kind of a blessing and a curse, because obviously you can fit a whole bunch of sizes in there, but the jaws wiggle and you can probably hear it clanking around. It always loses adjustment. They're just a pain in the ass, but it's better than having a whole handful of wrenches when you only want to carry around one. So I thought maybe this will be a little easier and faster to adjust, and maybe with any luck the Crescent and the engineers at Crescent have improved the design of the wrench to maybe tighten up the tolerances or something, so the jaw doesn't flop around that much or at all. And I'll tell you one thing, they may have designed a wrench that opens and closes with the slide of a lever, but you know what? This wrench made me appreciate this wrench all that much more, because this thing is really just a piece of crap. I'm not happy with it at all. With a little bit of refinement, it might be okay. But I'll show you. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to show you why I don't like it. Look at that. I actually weighed these. I don't remember the numbers, but this wrench is twice as heavy as this wrench. Roughly twice as heavy. And you can see why. Everything is just huge. And these are both 10-inch wrenches. And just look at the size difference. It's of course, this is a Crescent, this is a Craftsman, but pretty much, same thing. It just doesn't feel right. I mean, after years of holding, normal wrenches, firstly, this is light. It's just plain old light and easy to hold. But it has balance. It's head heavy, like it should be. That's where you want the beef. You want the beefy metal to be in the head, and you want a handle that's, not bulky, but round enough so that it doesn't hurt your palm when you're wrenching on something. The balance is all over the place. It just feels weird. It's just plain heavy. I would never want to carry this around in my pocket. It would take up, twice as much space in my toolbox, and it just doesn't feel right. And okay, you can open and close it with just a push of a lever or a slider, but I just don't like it. I mean, yeah, to open and close is fine. The other thing, sometimes one of the very few benefits of these wrenches is that if you're using two wrenches to, say you have a bolt and a nut right next to each other that you need to tighten or whatever, and you only got one hand, you can tighten this wrench down on it pretty tight, and if you let go, that wrench will stay there. Then you can mess with the other wrench and then, squeeze the two wrenches together to tighten the fitting or loosen the fitting or whatever the case may be. But this doesn't have very much clamping force at all. I can put my finger in there about as hard as I can push on this slider, and oh, look at that, it holds on to my finger. But trust me, it's not grabbing very hard. And also the other thing is that the jaw still flops around because inside is the same worm gear mechanics as that, and the jaw has the same flop, just like the good old. Actually, this one's a little tighter. I don't know if it's tighter because it's just a nicer wrench, or if this is dirty and the dirt might be taking up some of the slack. But anyway, it's kind of a disappointment. I have a caliper here just to give you some measurements for you, those of you that like measurements. The thickness of the handle is 325 thousandths on the Craftsman, and on the Crescent jumbo wrench, 595 thousandths. So let's say that's pretty much twice as thick, as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know. I didn't look at this myself. I don't know how big the jaw opens. On the typical 10-inch adjustable wrench, call it 1 inch and 184 thousandths. Oh, this is a little more. 1 inch and 295 thousandths, a little bit bigger. But if I want my wrench to open up bigger, you know what? I'll get the next size adjustable. Alright, so even though I said I weighed them before on a real scale, I figured I'll show you on this little spring scale I have here, just for shits and giggles, as they say. Or at least as my grandpa said. Anyway, we'll start with the Goliath wrench here. And if I'm reading that right, you can pause the video if you want. I think we're at 1.5 pounds. Now for the regular wrench, that's 1/2 pound, maybe 3/4, something like that. Probably 3/4, since I did measure these on a real scale and they were twice as heavy. So 3/4 and 1.5 pounds. If you do the math, I think that equals out. Alright, now of course I can't just give you a little tool review of a tool with an interesting mechanism and not take it apart to show you how it works. So it's held together with one screw. Well, the main mechanism is held together with one screw, and there's also the typical screw here that holds the worm gear. That's kind of staked in there, and I'm not gonna take that out because it's pretty obvious how it works. It looks identical to that pretty much. Anyway, slide it out. Here's the mechanism, and on the back side you can see the secret. There's a spiral cut shaft in there, and there's this tube that goes over it with a slower spiral that doesn't really attach to anything, and my best guess is that it's some sort of a dust shield, so it helps keep the dust inside the mechanism so it jams up faster. And the slider has a little peg that engages the screw, or that's not a screw, whatever, I guess you can call it a screw, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, on top there's a pretty poorly made bevel gear, which is why the thing is so noisy when you open and close it. And there's a corresponding bevel gear. You can just kind of see it inside there. And then that just turns the screw. And now you can see it work. Interesting mechanism, very cool. Very, you know, it's a good idea. But it just, this is like prototype stage right here. This thing is a beast. I mean, it's just, there's just so much metal in it. It's really unnecessarily thick, and that's the biggest downfall. I would never use this wrench. I borrowed this just to do the video, and I would have bought one for myself had I liked it, but oh well. I mean, it still works, but anyway, that's the mechanism. I know all of you guys were interested in seeing it. And another small thing, this, I don't really know how I feel about this thumb slide there. It's got some grips on it, and it's not that bad, but it's got these sharp corners, and it's a little uncomfortable if you get your thumb on it the wrong way. But the old reliable though, you just push it one way, pull it out the other way, and it works. And you don't have to be sliding your thumb up and down the entire length like that. You just hold it and you can move it. I like it. So that just about sums up this little review. And if it isn't obvious already, I would definitely not buy this. For the price of one of these on eBay, they're I think 15 or 16 bucks, but you can probably go to Harbor Freight and buy a set of 3 adjustable wrenches for about the same price. And you know, the Harbor Freight wrenches are really not too bad. This is here's a Harbor Freight wrench, and it's really no different than this is a Craftsman or anything else. This is a 12-inch, of course. This is a 10, but I mean, there's no extra slop in the jaw that, I mean, it's just as sloppy as any other wrench. The fit and finish is the same. It works just the same. And anyway, I get defensive of Harbor Freight tools sometimes because a lot of people don't like them. If you see my Harbor Freight videos, there's a lot of people pissing and moaning about how great they are, or how horrible they are, or how much of an idiot I am, or because I like Harbor Freight. Well, whatever. Anyway, that sums it up. Thanks for watching, everybody. And you know, since it's sitting on the bench, is unrelated to this video, but just to keep you sitting and waiting for more, I'm going to show you a little sneak peek of my next video that's coming up. That's a 1/2 inch by 12 piece of threaded rod and 2 big ass nuts. Not going to tell you what it is. You gotta stay tuned for more. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm curious to see what you guys think of this wrench, if any of you have owned one of these or used one of these. So, that sums it up. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.